Back at it once again, Perks Recap Podcast. With me is Al Hill once again, Alan Hill. Week 12, Al. How was it for you? What did you think? A quick little overall summary of Week 12.
Maybe one of the craziest and most awesome weeks of football I've ever seen in my life. I
It was a
mean,
great week.
it was unbelievable. There were upsets, there were great games, there were historic individual performances. There was almost everything you want in a week of football.
Yeah, surprises.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah. All right, well, let's do it. This is our Week 12 review podcast. Don't forget, we do two a week, and we'll be doing a Week 13 preview show. I am in the car for this one. Unfortunately, my schedule has been completely turned upside down. We'll see how we deal with it in the future moving forward. But for right now, this one, we're going to be in the car. Al, the first game is absolutely crazy. We said there's no way Cleveland can beat Pittsburgh, and Cleveland beat Pittsburgh
Well
24 to
put.
19.
24 to 19. And we didn't listen to ourselves. We said in the same podcast that the division rivalry is real. And then we said, but except in this one, because Cleveland stinks so bad. And we were wrong. So,
Yeah,
and
it applies to all of them every week.
yeah. Oh, man. And let me just throw this out there before we get into specifics about this game. I just love when Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback in this league. Did you happen to listen to his post-game press conference?
I did not.
Oh, you need to put it on your, and I can't it's not like some of the coaches out there that are great quotes and I can read a quote like Dan Campbell. But you just got to listen. Like the way he described the last drive of the game that they scored on was unbelievable. You just got to hear it. He is a one of a kind human being.
Hey, let's be honest, he's a one of a kind player, too.
He really is. He really
Nobody
is.
sticks around this long doing the things he does usually.
No, and only because the good is so good that people put up with the bad, which can be pretty bad. So yeah, let's dive into this game a little bit because it has all of that in there. I mean,
Yeah.
as they were trying to mount this or win this game, Jameis got strip sacked and threw an interception on two consecutive drives in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's Jameis for you.
And then he drives him right down the field, and Nick Chubb caps it off with a goal line run with 57 seconds left. But holy mackerel, man! I mean, just so much fun. It's funny too because the stats. Let me give you some stats. Jameis ended up 18 for 27, 219 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. And he had that rush TD where he got helicoptered around like John Elway back in the
Yep.
late 90s.
I remember that. Wasn't that in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that was, and he didn't get in the end zone, but it was a big first down, and he was old, and it was like one of the most big balls quarterback plays ever.
Yeah.
And Jameis reproduced it, but got in the end zone.
So good.
Nick Chubb, 20 rushes for 58 yards, not the most efficient, but did what he needed to do, got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they're. I think they're playing it pretty good with him. Like they really eased him in slowly, and now he's back up to 20 carries, and I think he'll start looking a little more like himself the more the weeks go on. I think.
I agree. I mean, it's impressive that he's been able to be a functional NFL running back after that terrible injury in less than a year. It's
Yeah.
incredible. So, I mean, Nick Chubb is back, and he will be. He's gonna be. We're all gonna be talking about him in fantasy drafts next year, and he's gonna be one of the few like 7 or 8 guys in the league that have a stranglehold on his job. It's pretty cool.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
And
Okay.
real quick too, he also said he feels now. He didn't feel it for the last few weeks, but like this last week of practice, he finally felt like basically 100%, like he's back fully, which is probably
That's
why he got 20 carries.
That's awesome. I didn't hear that, and that makes a lot of sense with the amount of carries, and it's cool to hear because he's such a great player, and that injury looked like it. I mean, that could have been the end. And
Yep,
it's so nice to see that it isn't. Really cool, really cool. All
agreed.
right, so to top off the Brown stats, The only really other stat of note really is Jerry Jeudy was the leading receiver with 6 catches for 85 yards.
Jerry Judy has had a little bit of a renaissance. The ghost of Jerry Judy,
Yes, yes.
kind of coming out a little bit here with Jameis and Cleveland in general. I mean, because in Denver he was such a big disappointment, and he's not like lighting the league on fire, but he's become pretty solid. I would just say, like a solid receiver now, and he wasn't that in Denver.
No, I completely agree. I mean, listen, his last 3 games, 7 catches for 73 yards, no touchdowns, 6 catches for 142 yards and a touchdown, and this week 6 catches for 85 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a
He,
solid guy.
it looked like about 4 or 5 weeks ago, it looked like Cedric Tillman was going to be their number one. He had like 3 really good games in a row.
Right.
Um, but then Judy and one of the, like maybe the last of those good Tillman games was the first of the good Judy games, and Judy's taken over since.
I
So
don't think of that 3 game stretch. I don't think he ever had a 3 game stretch like that in Denver his entire career there.
I agree. I mean, I'd have to look at the stats to make sure, but it certainly didn't feel like that to me watching it because he was one. He was on everybody's radar, first round draft pick. Everybody thought he was going to be really good, and he was a big disappointment. So, and he had a
Yep.
tough circumstance, certainly
I mean,
playing for that
he was
Denver team.
injured. He was injured too.
He was injured. He was playing in a horrible situation. He had freaking what's his face, the Aaron Rodgers buddy as his head coach. Who's that?
Oh yeah.
You know who I mean. Everybody knows who he. We don't need to say his name. He stinks. But but he got himself out of that situation into not much of a better one. But now he's playing with Jameis Winston, and every receiver in the world loves playing with Jameis Winston. That's beautiful. Um, and then the only other noteworthy stat from the Browns, Myles Garrett, who got into a pissing match with J.J. Watt through the media in the week leading up to this game over.
Yep.
And you heard some of that too, because J.J., who had the better stats last year, and then Myles Garrett won, but they're both great, so you're splitting
You mean
hairs.
TJ? TJ.
Oh, who did I say?
You were saying JJ,
Oh, good lord! Yeah, give me.
but
Yeah, you know me.
no,
Yeah,
because TJ.
J.J. Watt
I
did
don't.
knock him out of
It's
retirement.
hard. I get him confused too. But JJ's not playing anymore, so we got to make sure we say TJ.
No, JJ is nursing his back somewhere, and TJ is still kicking ass.
Yep.
Um,
JJ's doing commercials and stuff. He's doing just fine.
oh yeah, he's fine. He's fine. Yes, yeah, um, yeah. He's awesome. But so TJ, killer player. Miles
Yep.
Garrett, killer player.
Yep.
Miles Garrett won this game. If you want to look at it as an individual battle, because he had 3 sacks and TJ had none.
Yep. And I got to say, I love watching football games in the snow. It
Oh,
was
that was awesome.
snowing this entire time, and I loved it.
It was a full on blizzard by when they came back for the second half.
Fantastic.
Love it, man. Love it. That was so cool. Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. All right. So, real quick stats on the Steelers. Russell Wilson, 21 for 28, 270, a touchdown, and no picks. Jalen Warren had a heck of a game, 11 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches, 19 yards.
Yep.
People have been waiting for him to ascend to the number one position on this team for a long time. And I don't know
Yeah,
if
but Najee Harris comes up with some good games here and there. I don't
exactly.
think this is a full-on split, man. It's not going to get any. It's going to favor one or the other. I don't think at any point.
No, I agree. And something like really, like other than obviously injury, something really drastic would have to happen because, I mean, earlier in the season, Jalen Warren fumbled on the goal line, and I thought it might cost him a little bit. Never did.
Yep.
Najee Harris, 2.6 yards a carry this week. He only had 16 carries for 41 yards. It won't matter. They'll just keep giving him the ball. You're right. It's a split. And I found it interesting, too, how much they used Justin Fields this week on these special little package plays, He
Did they?
yeah, he had 3 runs for 26 yards.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I remember that. I remember seeing that. That's right. Yep.
Yep, and he threw a couple passes too, if I remember right. Yeah, well, just one. He was 0 for 1. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And then the receivers, nothing too huge. Calvin Austin had the best game, 3 catches, 78 yards and a touch. Fryermuth, 4 catches, 59 yards, and George Pickens, 4 catches, 48 yards.
All right.
And
Oh,
that's about it stat wise.
okay. Do we take anything away from Pittsburgh losing this game, or is just a division game? We chalk it up and move on.
I'm kind of with you on that. I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah, I think so
I
too. I
think
mean,
division
they,
game
they
blues.
they lay another egg this week, then we got something to talk about. But I think it's a division game. They know each other. It was in the snow, weird circumstance. I'm just going to chalk it up to that and move on and still keep them pretty much right where I had them coming in.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I think that's spot on.
All right, cool.
Sweet.
Let's move
Okay.
on to the next game. We got to go a little quicker, I think, because we spent 12 minutes on that one game.
Yeah.
11 minutes.
Fair point. Fair point.
All right. Kansas City over Carolina. Now, I said this game was a 10.5 point favorite, I said the first thing I said was everybody bet Carolina. I think
Yes.
actually
Yes.
I think actually you said you weren't on board with that. I'm not sure. Yeah, because your
Yeah. No,
score was 23 to
I didn't.
7.
I wasn't sure, but yeah, I was not leaning towards that for sure.
Right, and I was like, because Kansas City plays officially now, I think, plays up or down to their competition. They're in close games all the time now. It doesn't really matter who it is because Carolina had no business being in this game, and it almost went to overtime. I mean,
Yeah.
overtime against
Yeah.
Carolina,
I know. I know.
and
It's
they
crazy.
win 30. They won 30 to 27, so we got the game right. But 30 to 27, Carolina gets 27 points on that Kansas City defense.
Yeah, it's nuts, and that's the crazy thing because it didn't surprise me the game was close, but if the game was close, I thought that they would both score under 20 points.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I would think the same thing.
So that's what blew my mind. And I heard some people at ESPN talking about, are they showing cracks in the Kansas City D? They lost their number 2 cornerback about 3 weeks ago for the season.
Yep.
And maybe that's, I mean, obviously that doesn't help anybody. I don't know how much it's hurting them. Their number 1 corner is really good. Yeah, I don't know, man. They just can't. Like Mahomes said, Mahomes' quote after the game was, "I'd just like to win one game that's not on the last play."
Yeah. I mean, they're the least impressive 10-1 team ever.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I mean, it's really crazy.
I mean, they're fine. You got to give them credit that they always find a way to win. But my God, you just I've been saying it for 2 years. It just doesn't seem right. Doesn't look right. They're not. I don't know. Is it just because are they getting to the point now where they're just trying to get to the playoffs in the regular season now? They're just going to play throughout, and whatever they end up, and then the playoffs they flip the switch and turn it on and become basically because that's what happened last year. They were unimpressive last year. They go to the playoffs, and then they look like they've always looked in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Is that what they're
yeah, and
going
they
to do
won the
again this
freaking
year?
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Like it's until the last week or two, had a better defense even than last year, which is why I kept saying I wasn't that worried about them. Because I thought eventually this offense would get into gear. Well, their offense finally got into gear, and the defense wasn't. So I don't know, man. It's so hard to read. It's last year was so deceiving. It was so hard to pick them to win the Super Bowl going into those playoffs.
Right, because they looked unimpressive.
Yeah, and then they went ahead and won the damn thing. So it's who knows? They have arguably the best active coach in football.
Agreed.
So that's a huge with Andy Reid. That's a huge advantage there, obviously.
Although Dan
Um,
Campbell's right on his butt, I think.
well, Dan Campbell's got to win something important before you can even put him in the same breath as Andy Reid.
Right, that's true. That's true.
I listen. And Dan Campbell might be my favorite coach in the league right now because I love him. He's so much fun. He is so much fun. But let's win a playoff game or two before we get too excited.
That's true.
But and they have Mahomes. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough one with this team. I don't know how to read it. I don't know what to make of it. There it is. We'll just keep being wrong every week on the score predictions. I can probably guarantee you
Yep.
that.
Yep. All right. Well, now our first disagreement of the week in terms of not picking the same team. I picked Chicago because I was just so unimpressed with Minnesota, and you picked a close Minnesota win, so you get it right. Minnesota did win, but it was a 3-point game, which is what you predicted. I had a 2-point game for Chicago, so it was close across the board and close in real life. 30-27, Minnesota over Chicago. Um, I guess we have to say Minnesota has corrected itself again, or
I'm
or is this more Chicago is not nearly as good as we thought they were going to be, and they kind of have gone backwards more so than Minnesota.
I think both of those things have just as equal possibility of being true, and I'm not sure which one. I think a couple things. The Vikings. The nice thing is we talked a lot about Darnold regressing a couple weeks ago. Last week he didn't throw any picks. He still had a fumble that he lost, but this week 0 turnovers, and his stats are
Right,
impressive. 22
right.
of 34.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, 22 of 34, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Aaron Jones, who banged up like his chest or something about a month ago, looks like he's healthy again. 22 carries, 106 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 23 yards. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 161 yards and a touch. How about Hawkinson? Speaking of people coming back from injury, 7 catches, 115 yards.
He was a
I mean,
backbreaker for a lot of for that in that game for Chicago. Whenever, because
oh,
it was close throughout, and every catch he made seemed like it was a big deal, a huge gainers for Minnesota, and really a backbreaker for Chicago. A lot of I can distinctly remember 3 or 4 catches that he made where it was like, man, if Chicago could have got the stop there.
yes, no doubt about it, man. And that's the Hawkinson, they that had started to develop for them, and it just sucked when he got hurt last year. And it's nice to see him back too. It's nice to see him back,
Yeah,
and that's
and Minnesota's that's what I was saying about them coming back to what they were earlier. Is that's what it feels like. It feels like them the first 5 or 6 games of the year when we were surprised by how good they were, and then they regressed a little, lost a couple in a row, and were kind of meddling for a little bit. And this game felt like the beginning of the year again. It felt like those first 5 games again. Darnold has corrected himself, and I think we got to put them back where they were earlier.
well, you know what? I agree with everything you said, except they beat a really bad team in overtime by 3 points.
Yeah, but I don't think Chicago's really bad.
Ah, see, now that's the talk because I'm kind of with you. Ever since they fired their offensive coordinator, they've looked a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean, don't I mean Caleb didn't look terrible. I watched a lot of this game too.
No, he was great. I mean, not terrible. He was 32 of 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he ran 6 times for 33 yards. I mean, that
Yeah,
might
I mean,
be.
so I mean, what else do you want? Yeah, exactly. I didn't realize he threw for that many yards, but he was just good. Um, again, so I think Chicago, they're taking their lumps with their rookie quarterback. They still got a long way to go, but they're not a pushover. They're not a dumpster fire or anything like that. So I think this was a good on the road win for Minnesota in the division. Big win for Minnesota. Chicago, maybe we had higher hopes coming in. This is who they are now. They're not terrible. They're going to be viable the rest of the way. We'll see where they end up. But, if you had high hopes for them, I think those are done.
Yeah. This isn't a playoff team, but they are showing signs of positive things. So that's huge, especially when they came out of that bye and just looked like one of the worst offensive teams in the history of football for a couple weeks there. It's huge
Yep.
for them to turn around and be competitive. And for Caleb Williams to look good, I mean, it's huge because he looked horrible under that other offensive coordinator. So this is great.
Yep. All right. Next one that we both got wrong again. By the way, this is 3 out of 4 wrong for me and 2 out of 4 wrong for you. Tennessee over Houston, 32-27.
Are you kidding me?
I got a question for you. Does Houston stink?
I they are not as good as I thought for sure, and I think you thought pretty close to as highly of them as me. Um, and they are not right now. They're lucky they're in an easy division because they look like an easy out in the playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know that they have got to turn this around. I mean, they have not looked good now for a while. The only time they looked good was against a totally inadequate Dallas team. other than that, they've been pretty mediocre. Got beat by the Jets. Now they get beat by a bad Tennessee team. I mean,
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
it's bad, and they should not be having this kind of trouble, especially with all the additions they made. How well Joe Mixon is playing.
Yes.
How is it? But they're not good. They're not playing well at all.
To me, I think my thing about this team is one big thing and one other possibility. Um, the offensive line is a decent run blocking offensive line, but they're one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the league, and it's killing Stroud. And also, he's not playing very well. So it's a combination of those two things. And I don't know how much of it to blame is on the offensive line. It's a lot of it. And how much of it is a second year sophomore slump slash regression, whatever you want to call it. But there's been times when CJ's had guys wide open and just missing them too. So it's not all the line's fault, but it's those
Yeah.
two things, and I think the line's the bigger factor.
Yeah, I mean Tennessee is bad, and this was on the road. Houston lost to Tennessee, who's horrible at home.
Yeah, no, this is crazy. And here, let me give you a stat that'll
I know real quick. I know
go
Tennessee
ahead.
defense is pretty good, but
Yeah,
still,
well, here's a stat that'll blow your mind, and I'll start with defense first, and then we'll dig into the stats. One of these teams had 8 sacks and a pick six, and it wasn't the team that won. Donnell Hunter had 3 sacks individually for Houston. The team had 8 sacks, and they picked six Levis, and they lost by 5 points. That's insane. That's how bad. Because this defense is still pretty damn good. I mean, that's you can't do any better than that. I mean, they gave up points, but you can't do any better than this 8 sacks and a pick six to help your team. Um, but the offense is just brutal. I mean, Stroud 20 for 33, 247, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Mixon, who's been awesome, had his worst game in years, 14 carries for 22 yards. Nico Collins is back, which is great. 5 catches, 92 yards and a touch. Tank Dell, 3 for 72. Nothing else of note really there. Levis, 18 for 24, 278, 2 touchdowns, and that pick six. Tony freaking Pollard, 24 carries, 119 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches, 10 yards. And he sat on my bench in 4 of the 5 leagues I have him in.
by the way, Will Levis is is I think he's showing improvement. And I
He
say that
is.
with a question mark, but because we have been basically crapping all over him, deservedly so. But I think actually I'm starting to see some things with him.
No, I agree. And we saw some of this last year, but he regressed so quickly that I thought it was a mirage. I mean, let's not forget his first game in the league, he threw for almost 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. No
Yeah,
picks.
I remember. Yeah,
Right? So where did that guy go? Because he ended up with 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in his rookie season, which means he was 4-4 from that game forward.
yep.
Um, so I mean, he's a fascinating. You know who? Okay, here's the comp. Here's the comp. He has gone from horrendous to he has now worked himself into Jameis Winston territory
Possibly. Yeah, I could see that.
because he had a hell of a game, except he also threw a pick six, and that's so Jameis like. Now, the last 3 games for Levis, quarterback rating of 127.4, 84.7, and 123.3. So, I mean, that's not my favorite stat in the world, but it does get, if you're over 100, you're kicking ass, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so, completion percentage of 78 and 75% in 2 of those 3 games. I mean, so, yeah, he's definitely showing some signs here. Now, what we have about, 5 or 6 games left, and, he's gonna have to play that well or better to, I think, walk in as the starter next year, don't you?
I would assume so. Yeah,
Yeah. So this is a big stretch for Mr. Levis, and it looks like it. I'm kind of rooting for him because it looks like it's going to be fun to have him as a quarterback.
I think so too. Yeah,
I
it's
love
kind
it.
of strange for us to even be saying that because we were so down on him.
Well, he was horrible. I mean, he was horrendous for the first. I mean, his quarterback rating now is 85.6, and that's after 2 of the last 3 games having a quarterback rating over 120.
Right. He's playing better, much better.
He's improving steadily, and I don't know, man. This is gonna be a fun one to watch. Because this, I would have, if you made me bet on this 5 weeks ago, I would have bet there's no chance in hell he was going to be the starting
Well,
quarterback for them
you
next year.
were you were taking conditions in your picks about if he plays, you were going to pick against them.
Oh yeah,
You
no
were
doubt about it.
caveating that if what Levis plays, then pick the other team.
Yeah, absolutely, and it worked.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Oh man, yeah. By the way, his completion percentage in his rookie season was 58.4. His completion percentage right now is 67%.
Wow.
So the dude is improving, man. Like, I mean, I got to give him credit. And from this point forward, it's just keep an eye on and see if he can maintain or keep improving. I think
Well,
he has got a chance to be the starter next year.
yeah, give something to pay attention to, something interesting from a usually boring Tennessee team.
Yes, yes, because they were the vanilla wafer of the NFL for years.
They're the Diet Coke of football. All right.
Yes, yeah, yeah. The pib.
The great value equal equal ingredients, but not the same thing as the regular ingredients of anything.
Yeah, right. Exactly, exactly. Yes, that's awesome.
Although he's the store brand name.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. Yes, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
I always go back to Walmart. Walmart says great value.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, yeah, we'll just call him store brand from now on.
All right.
That's awesome.
Okay, Detroit takes care of business against the Colts on the road, 24-6. We both got this one right, and you had it as a 34 game. I had 31-16. I mean, they just took care of business. They're still looking good. Their running backs are still playing really well, both of them. And golf is golf, and the train just keeps going, man. There's not a whole lot to say about this game. This went about how you think it would go. Detroit just handling their business.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, there's a couple notes about this game. One, I agree with you 100%. This was a very good team, one of the best in the league, if not the best, just being super solid. Super credit to them. Some stats on their side: Goff 26 for 36, 269, no touches or picks. Gibbs 21 for 90, two touchdowns. The only thing is, David Montgomery went out of this game with an injury, and he hasn't practiced. Well, they list, the fake practice on Monday where they have to file a report.
Yeah.
They listed him as inactive.
Okay.
So there's
We'll
a
have to keep an eye
chance.
on that.
Yeah, there's a chance because they're playing Thanksgiving Day. So there's a chance he might miss that game. People keep an eye on that if you're on your fantasy team.
Yep.
Um, but here's the big.
Actually, though, if you have Gibbs, definitely start him.
Oh, 100%. And I think you're starting him anyway, but you're starting him with real glee this week because he might get 30 carries.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Here's the real story on the other side of this game, and really the only story. Uh, Anthony Richardson went right back to what he was before.
Yeah.
And did you see the stats on this one, my man?
No.
11,
Yeah.
11 for 28, Craig. 11 for
Oh,
28. That is
I did see that. I did see that.
39% completion percentage. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I mean, they might as well just start him the rest of the way. Did they come out and say that they were going to anyway?
They did the week they brought him back. I haven't heard anything this week, but I can't imagine the dude would go back on his word 6 days later. You know what I mean, or whatever,
Yeah.
8 days later, whatever it would be. So yeah, and I think they kind of have to, unless I mean, I guess there's a point where you just have to pull the plug, but it's not even after 11 for 28. I wouldn't do it yet. You
Well,
got to
the
ride
thing
him.
is, too, is if you pull the plug this time, I think you're pulling the plug for good.
I agree. I agree. Maybe you could sell a reset for next season, maybe, but I think it's for good too.
Yeah.
All right, my
Which
man.
sucks because I liked him last year a lot.
Oh, and I mean, just talent out the wazoo. So hopefully he finds it, or maybe he ends up in a different spot and somebody unlocks him. But right now it looks like he's heading for the Trey Lance spot more than a starter.
Yeah.
Um, That's just crazy. So yeah, that's all I got on that one. That was a solid thumping by the Lions, and just a very, very, very good team.
Okay, team headed in the right direction now. Miami 34, New England 15. We both got this one right as well. No surprise here really, but it's just another example of Miami has regained their footing here with Tua back. Tua looking more and more comfortable, looking more and more like himself. And when he's himself on that team, they win. They win a lot. And that's what they're doing lately. They've won, what, three in a row or is it four in a row?
I will pull it up while you're talking.
I think it's at least three in a row for sure, but it might even be four in a row. But regardless, whatever it is, they're playing much better. They have put themselves back in the playoff hunt, solidly in the playoff hunt. And I got to say, if he stays healthy, they'll probably make it. I think they'll probably make it.
They got a real shot, man. They got a real shot. And it is three in a row, and the game that they didn't win prior to that, they took the Bills to 30-27. So
Okay.
they've been playing really good football. Um, yeah, so let me lay some stats on you for this one. We got Tua. I mean, boy, it's this guy's health is so scary, such a scary situation. But man, when he's healthy, he's beautiful to watch. 29 for 40, 317, four touchdowns, no picks. Uh,
Yeah, what a game.
Incredible, incredible. To borrow your phrase, the ghost of Jalen Waddle joined us in the 2024 season.
For
Uh,
the first time.
for the first time. I mean, yeah, it's like I think his first week he was over 100 yards, and that was the last time he topped like 50.
Yeah, he's been terrible.
Terrible. He's killed people's fantasy teams because he was a high draft pick. And if you can overcome having drafted Jalen Waddle, kudos to your managerial skills.
Yep.
But he got 8 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown. Jonnu Smith, or should I say the second coming of Travis Kelce, got 9 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. I mean,
Yep.
talk about unlocking this guy after 7 years in the league. Unbelievable. Incredible. Achan, not a great game on the ground, only 10 rushes for 32 yards, but he had three catches, 24 yards, and two touchdowns.
Yeah, well, I mean, when
Um,
your quarterback's doing that, chances are you're not running the ball that well,
yeah, you
or
don't
at
need
least
to.
not that
That you don't
often.
need to that
Exactly. Yep.
day.
And vice versa. If you're running like crazy, then your quarterback's probably not going to have modest stats.
Exactly, exactly. Patriots, nothing, not zero run game. I'm not even going to read a stat from a running back because none of them had more than 25 yards. Um,
Awful.
Drake May, 22 for 37, 221 yards, one pick, one touchdown, one pick, five rushes for 26 yards. Uh, Demario Douglas, 5 catches for 61. Austin Hooper, 5 for 59 and a touchdown. Nothing else noteworthy about that one. The only other
Yep.
thing noteworthy about this one, real quick, is that the Dolphins, in one of those perception versus final score things, pretty clearly whooped them even worse than this score because they were up 31-0 after three.
Yep. 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 All that was garbage after that. But Drake May,
Yep.
keep learning, young man, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, like I've said a lot this year, I couldn't be more impressed with this guy in that situation doing what he's doing. It's just a hell of a job. Hell of a job.
Yes. Kudos to him.
Big time. Big time.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know what that chuckle means, and I'm ready.
I think you're one game off because
Okay.
there's two to chuckle about. This first one is 30-7 Tampa Bay over the Giants.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Yep. That is chuckle worthy.
I mean, my God, they are such a dumpster fire. They are the worst. The two New York teams are the two worst run organizations in football. They are a clown show. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They announced that Tommy Cutlass is starting. Then the next day in practice, they demote Daniel Jones to fourth, and he's playing safety on the practice squad.
Oh, I didn't hear that. What?
Yeah, he was playing safety.
Oh, that's insane.
And then he asked for his release, and they released him on a Friday before the game's on Sunday.
Unbelievable, dude. I did not see that coming. And I'm going to look
Um,
right now just in case he signed with anybody while we're.
I don't think he did. I think he should either take the rest of the year off or just latch on to a winner and try to beat the backup. I tell you what, he goes to the Colts, he might be able to start.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think his best bet, to me, his best bet is to go to a good playoff team and just be a backup quarterback. Like, honestly, you know what the best fit for Daniel Jones is, in my mind?
Well,
The Eagles.
I can see that.
He is not that he's as good. He's not even close. But his play style is almost exactly like Jalen Hurts.
Right.
So he
But
could walk into the
and your backup is who?
Kenny Pickett.
He's better than Kenny Pickett.
I think so too. I mean, and Pickett, even if they're close, Pickett's a different style than Hurts. If you
Right.
have a Daniel Jones, he walks in with the exact same playbook. You know,
I can see that.
so it's
Very
an interesting one.
interesting.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
Um,
I'm sorry.
they they were leaving in the third quarter. They were booing Tommy Cutlets. It did
Hmm,
not work. He had no time. Tampa Bay got Mike Evans back, and it was like a light switch went off. They come in losing four in a row, and completely wax the Giants at home.
incredible, incredible. Yeah, no, you nailed it, dude. The Giants are a dumpster fire. Do you know they are currently have the number one draft pick?
Yes, yep, and I'm not surprised. Here's another thing with the number one. Um, what week is it?
We're heading into week 13.
We're heading into week 13. The New York Giants, as a team, not one player, as a team, have one interception.
Oh my God, that's insane.
One interception.
I hadn't heard that stat, Craig. That's stat of the week right there. That's bonkers. Wow, that's
And
almost
they haven't
impossible.
had a lead of any kind in the last six games. Also, Tampa
Wow.
Bay was last in the league against the pass, 31st, or second to last, 31st in the league versus the pass on defense, and the Giants couldn't pass the ball at all.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito, 21 for 31, 189 yards.
My God.
And when you only throw for 189 yards when 90% of the game was garbage time, that's crazy.
Yeah, because it was, what was it? It was 31 nothing,
Yeah,
or 30,
30.
whatever the hell it was,
Yeah,
30 to nothing.
30 to
And
nothing. Yep.
and then they called off the dogs, and then Tommy DeVito had some time.
Exactly, exactly. Another disturbing thing about this specific game for the Giants, I can't. I'm still reeling from your one interception stat. That's almost impossible. Um, their vaunted defensive line, which had been really good earlier this year, 0 sacks. It's
You know
like the
why?
only good thing about their team.
You know why?
Say that again, Craig.
Do you know
Oh yeah,
why?
go ahead.
They
No.
gave no effort. They quit. They've quit. They've quit on the coach. They've quit on
Mm,
themselves. They're not. They didn't try in this game at all. They weren't ready. They didn't care. They just want this shit to be over.
Malik
The
Neighbors
po-
was calling people soft after the game.
Yep, the post game press conferences were terrible. Was it Dexter Lawrence?
Yep.
Same thing, was calling people soft. The only thing that sucks, I mean, although I don't know, I kind of want Dallas to lose anyway, is I can see now because up here in the Northeast here on my New York sports talk radio, I always talk about.
Oh
It
yeah.
has been a hailstorm, like a firestorm up here about the Giants, and they are slamming the hell out of them. And the Giants, I could see them getting pissed and playing much better on Thanksgiving, and I might actually win that game against Dallas.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because Dallas is playing at home and they don't win at home,
That's if they
and
have not.
it's still Cooper Rush, although we got Deron Bland back. Um, I don't know. I could just see them, even
Well,
if it's just one game. I could see them being, getting angry in playing one good game against us this year. You know, the rivalry, all that crap, Thanksgiving, big audience, all that crap, and I could see it happening. Although I'm, you know, I don't even know how I feel about it because if Dallas loses, they get a better pick, and
Yeah,
I'm in
right. I
pick
know.
mode.
Yeah. That's a tough spot. I know what you're saying.
But I never want to. I can't root against my team. That's the thing.
No, I'm with you. I could never do that. Even if it's logical to want the better draft pick, I can't do it. I know what you mean.
Right.
Ego,
But
I'm always
anyway,
yeah. So okay, but I will say this. I understand exactly where you're coming from. Let me just say this. I would rather have Cooper Rush the way he's playing right now than Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock. And it might be Drew Lock this week because you see the Tommy DeVito's on the injury report and his like the headline in the New York what is it, the New York Post, Tommy DeVito uncertain for Thanksgiving game.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I don't know
So
which is better. I'm really not trying. I'm not sure because I it doesn't really matter. They're neither of them are that good. You know.
right. So I
Uh,
don't know.
Fascinating.
On the Tampa Bay side, they took care of business. Baker Mayfield mocked them with the Tommy Cutlet's little hand
Oh
gesture there.
yes, yes, that was great.
That was great. And yeah, they took care of business against a bad team, and they got Mike Evans back. And for some reason, as soon as that happens here, they look like a completely different offense.
Yeah, man. No, we've talked a lot this season about teams missing receivers, and it matters. It does. It's just especially when Godwin went out for the season. What oh God, I mean that was pretty early in the season, and he was tearing it up. The wild thing is, it kind of seems like the Buccaneers just fell off the map for like a month with that Evans injury, right?
Yeah,
But
they lost four in a row.
yeah, after all that, they're one game behind the Falcons. The Falcons are 6-5. Bucks are 5-6. So they're right there in this damn thing.
Yep, and the Falcons are not inspiring much from anybody either. I mean,
They're on their
they're
own 2-game losing streak
there
on
you
their
go.
own.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're floundering a bit. Okay,
Yeah, they
well,
are
yeah,
floundering.
not much more to add for me on that one.
Nope, I'm with you.
All right. Well, now the next chuckle
Yes.
game. I don't give a shit. Game of the year. Game of the year, or at the very least, quarter of the year.
It was unbelievable, Craig. Unbelievable.
Dallas over Washington. Absolutely insane. 34-26. It was 10-9 with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and it ends 34-26.
Incredible. One of the best 8 minutes of football I've ever seen in my life. It was like honestly, the last time I remember 8 minutes being that exciting in an NFL game was when Frank Reich brought the Bills back in that playoff game in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yep, that was it. I mean, if you're rooting for Washington, you were or either team, the roller coaster was insane.
Oh man, absolutely insane, man. I mean, talk about ups and downs and highs and lows. Holy moly! I mean, just this game's freaking incredible, man. Just this was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And I want to personally thank your Cowboys for helping out my team.
Yeah, but well, we're gonna get into the rest of it, but um, the missed extra point
Oh,
was,
unbelievable!
for those who don't know, Dallas scores a touchdown up the middle to Schoonwalker for go up 20 to 9 or whatever it was, and then Philadelphia comes down, scores a touchdown, and they get the 2 point conversion. It's 20-17, and then Dallas returns the kickoff. Cavante Turpin is the fastest man in football. He is faster than Tyreek Hill. He ran 23 miles an hour
Oh yeah,
on that return.
one of the best
He,
spin moves I've ever seen in my life. By the way.
yeah, and then Washington comes down, and Dallas's defense is so bad sometimes. They give up an 86-yard touchdown to McLaurin.
Yeah, yeah. And it wasn't like he got past the D. He ran through like 8 people. Like they were everywhere. They just couldn't touch him.
Yeah, they took horrible angles
Yes,
at
yes,
everything.
yes. They sure did.
Horrible angles. And then it's 27-26, and Seibert misses the extra point.
Incredible. Incredible.
And
Oh,
then they go for the onside kick, and the guy Thomas, I don't even know his first name for Dallas, some backup safety or something, whatever he
Wanya.
is, he he takes the onside kick in stride and just goes right by everybody before they get a chance to even tackle him, and he scores
Yeah.
a touchdown to make
And
it
he pissed off his head
34-20.
coach in the process because he was like, oh, man, now we got to go out and play defense again.
Yeah, he should have went down at the one, but I can't blame him for that. That's
No,
going to
I
be his
don't blame it.
one
I
and
don't
only.
blame a guy like that either.
Yeah, his one and only claim to fame probably ever in the league.
Totally.
So, but I mean, just an absolutely bonkers game.
It was incredible, man. One of the craziest things I've ever seen in football. Just a stunner. I mean, it was, I mean, just to reiterate what you were saying. So it's 10-9 with 8 minutes and 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Yep,
Aubrey kicks the field goal. Dallas is up 13-9.
yep,
Schoonmaker gets that pass. It's 20-9 Dallas.
yep.
Zach Ertz. Well, that was with 5 minutes left. Zach Ertz catches a touchdown pass with 3 minutes left. It's 2017 Dallas. Turpin returns that kick. It's 27-17 Dallas. Siebert makes his only big kick of the day, 51 yarder, 27-20 Dallas. Then that McLaurin thing and everything we talked about. I mean, unfreaking just bing, bang, boom, you know?
Yeah, it's like a pinball machine. It was crazy.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, that.
Okay.
Okay, go.
All right. So now that we went over the craziness of the game, diving in a little bit, Cooper Rush is finally looking like he looked when he was an okay guy, an okay quarterback the last time he filled in for Dak when he went 4-1 the first 5 games.
I agree. It's
He
24 for
looks,
32, 247, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He looks
yeah,
solid.
he looks solid. Not spectacular, but solid as a rock.
No doubt.
And that's what I was expecting from the beginning. I guess maybe he just had to shake the cobwebs off a little bit and get back into the groove. But I think he is, and we'll see what happens going forward. I don't really necessarily even want success because I think I want them to lose to get a better pick because they're not going anywhere regardless. But now they have Parsons back, Bland is back, Diggs is still playing. Their defense is coming together a little bit. So I don't know. They're probably going to win a few more now the rest of the way, depending on who they play. So we'll see. On the other side, the alarm bells have got to be going off for Washington now.
I'm with you. I couldn't wait to talk about that. And also, real quick before we get into that hardcore, I just want to say, give it up for whatever person on the Cowboys finally got it through their heads that Rico Dowdle needs to be the only running back that matters.
I think it's McCarthy. He's calling the plays.
I mean, it's about time because, every other week they're splitting, they're doing this, blah, blah, blah.
It could be
Zeke,
Brian Schottenheimer.
yeah, it could be too. I don't know how it works there, but Zeke had the second most carries at 3 this week, and that's where it should be.
Yeah,
So yeah, let's dive into this Washington thing because I am fascinated. There was the play of Jaden Daniels has regressed. The play of the offense as a whole has regressed because of it. And I'm fascinated by this whole thing. I mean, you go talk about it a little bit on your end too, because I have a few things I want to dive into here, but I want to hear where you're coming from
well,
too.
the injury aspect that we talked about last week, I didn't really see him affected by it this week. It didn't seem
I
to
agree.
be a thing, but it might still be a thing. Um, you got to remember too, they've lost two in a row now. Was it two in a row?
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure you're right.
And don't forget they won that game in Chicago on a last second bomb that shouldn't have happened.
No doubt, no doubt. Fair point.
So I mean, they're not playing well the last 4 or 5 weeks now.
3 in a row. It was
Three in a row, and
Eagles
then
and Steelers prior.
and the week before that I think was Chicago when they won on the bomb.
That was 2 weeks prior to the only win they've had that wasn't or I'm sorry, uh, the week before the Steelers, which was their third loss in a row, was the Giants, and they only beat the Giants 27-22.
Right, and then the week before that was Chicago, where they won on the
The Hail
Hail
Mary, you
Mary.
got it. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
their last
so
impressive performance was the Panthers on October 20th, where they put up 40 points on the Panthers. That was the last really impressive performance.
yeah, I mean, I think they'll right the ship a little bit enough to maybe to sneak in the playoffs. But if they don't, they might fall right out of it.
It's I'm fascinated by this whole situation. Um, they started off so hot,
Yep.
and they've cooled off so dramatically. Listen, you know me. I have been a big time critic of Cliff Kingsbury, and I backed off of that early this season, but I am back on it. And I'm not the only one. It surprised me because I thought I was on an island with this whole thing with Kingsbury.
Oh no, people have been on him for. Yeah, I saw it all week. People,
Okay,
well, not all week. Last couple days, people on him big time.
they did 5 minutes on it on how bad his play calling has been for the last 6 weeks on NFL Live the other day on
Yeah.
ESPN. So a lot of like the league figuring him out type of talk and that kind of stuff and playing too conservative and all this stuff. So I don't know. I don't want to get too much into Kingsbury on my end because I have been very harsh on him in the past, and I want to try and be as open minded as I can. But it sure looks like it's a combination of him and that injury. Now, I also agree with what you said. He looked as healthy as he has since that injury, so it's hard to judge just exactly how much it's still affecting him. But he looked the best he has in a month
Yeah. Yep.
physically.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a mystery, man. I'm fascinated by it. Yeah, I don't know, man. And you're right. They now have it's a lot tougher road than I ever imagined for them to make the playoffs. Now,
Yep. All right. Well, we thought Jaden Daniels had the rookie of the year sewn up, but the guy who might actually get it now, Bo Nix,
hey,
29-19 Denver over the Raiders. The Raiders just stink,
they do.
and Bo Nix does not.
No,
No picks, Bo Nix.
there it is. I was hoping you remembered it because I sure did. I love it. That's our name. We're patenting that sucker. Yeah, this guy is something else, man. And the no picks Bonix continues. I mean, he just keeps getting better and better and better and better. I'll throw the stats at you while we're there. Bonix 25 of 42, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Freaking Cortland Sutton. Talk about unlocking players 5, 6 years into their career.
The
Cortland
ghost
Sutton,
of Portland Sutton. Sutton.
yeah, 8 catches, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. This Vele guy, who I don't even know his first name, but he's a rookie. You know who I mean? The receiver. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know his first name
I'll
either.
find it then. But this guy all of a sudden is stepping up as their legit number 2 guy. 6 catches, 80 yards, and he's had 3 or 4 games in a row now where he's been a little better and a little better. Um,
Yep.
their run game stank, and it's the only thing to really bust on them about. I mean, every time you think you can rely on Williams, now he has a game 8 rushes for -2 yards. Yeah, figure that one out. Sad news in this one. The mustache, Uncle Rico, Gardner Minshew, no longer for the season. He broke his collarbone out for the year. Got a feel
Uh,
for old Gardner.
he is he's a quintessential backup quarterback.
He is. He's a perfect backup. And that's what you want him as. Absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. And name of the year so far appeared because the Raiders had almost every running back on their roster hurt, and out of nowhere comes a guy I was not familiar with named Sincere McCormick.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah, Sincere McCormick.
It's a great name.
Love it. He had 5 carries for 33 yards, so nice debut for Sincere. And Jacoby Myers continues, and Brock Bowers had a what I can't read my own writing. Is that 4 for 38 or 4 for 78?
I don't think he went 78.
Oh, it's 4 for 38. Okay, yes, it was. It was his worst game in a few weeks, but but he's been awesome. And Jacoby
So they,
Myers continues to be solid for them.
yeah, are they going back to Aiden O'Connell then?
They are. Yes, I saw. I read it earlier. It's Aiden O'Connell is being prepared as the starter. Was the quote I read earlier.
They're gonna have to get somebody too, though. Maybe they'll
Yeah,
get Daniel Jones.
they. I don't know. You know what? I'll try and look for that when at a point when I can later because I haven't
Maybe
heard
they'll
any
get
news.
Daniel Jones. I could see them signing Daniel Jones.
But you know what? If I was Daniel Jones, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because all he'll do is put out more bad film. If it is for him to have a real shot moving forward, he's got to be in a good situation, and
But if
that
he
is
wants to
not it.
start, he could probably start over Aiden O'Connell.
Oh, he definitely could, but I still wouldn't do it if I was him.
Yeah,
That's a bad
I would just
situation.
sit it out if I was him, and then try to latch onto a team next year.
If
I
I
mean,
listen, if
he gets
any
paid the rest
playoff
of the
contender
way.
wants him as if the Chiefs or the Eagles or the San Diego or you name it, the Detroit, any of those teams want him as their backup, that's what if I was his agent, that's where I would tell him to go.
Right. But I'm sure there'll be some of those teams next year too. He's already getting paid the rest of the year anyway.
Yeah, but that's not the biggest factor in this.
Yeah,
He's already made way more money than he should.
he's made $100 million.
Yeah, which is insane.
Right.
That's
So
I'd love to see the breakdown for how many millions of dollars that is per touchdown pass. Oh man, I think I got the stats in that game. Yeah. Jacoby Myers 10 catches for 121 yards. Hell of an
yeah.
effort on a terrible team.
Yep. Yep. All right. Any more there?
No, I think that's it for that one. Broncos are a very good team all of a sudden. It's fascinating.
Okay. San Francisco is starting to resemble Dallas in terms of the walking wounded. Green Bay dismantles them 38-10. San Francisco is lost, and now Purdy did not play. He's out, and they lost somebody else too. I can't remember. There was another big injury
Trent
who they didn't
Williams
play.
didn't play. I know that.
Yeah, Trent Williams. That was it. Trent Williams also didn't play.
Yep, that's
Just a,
huge. That one
just
hurts
a
them more than
disaster
any
all
other injury.
around. They're in danger now of not making the playoffs. Seriously, serious danger of not making the
I
playoffs.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And listen, I got this one wrong, and I would never have picked the Niners. Not that I would. Once I make it, I make it. But I would never have picked the Niners in this game if I didn't. If I knew Brock Purdy was going to be out,
Right.
and I didn't
I
even
did pick
caveat
Green
because
Bay. It's the one time I got something right and you got it wrong. Because the other one was you won two of them. I won one where we had different picks. We had three different picks.
okay. I couldn't remember how that shook out. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, this was just a complete destruction. I mean, absolute destruction.
Yep.
I
And I
mean,
think Green Bay put it on a little thick because they've been losing to San Francisco for so long. I think they just wanted to really lay it on them.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating, man. It's funny because now it's I had to slap myself last year because I'd been very hard on both Purdy and Shanahan,
Yep.
and they've been good enough that it's almost sounded silly. Well, guess who is getting as much crap as the Commanders' offensive coordinator right now? That would be Mr. Kyle Shanahan. I've heard
Yeah.
a lot of people on him right now, and it's fascinating to me because I had to finally just be like, okay, I guess I'm the crazy one. But now all of a sudden, here we are, and
Right. Right.
this team, I don't care about the injuries. They've been plenty healthy for plenty of games this year. This one was a tough one with the injuries. Definitely, I was fully acknowledge that if I don't choke. But um, but we have documented their fragile psyche of this team that can't handle one key player being out time and time again, and it's disturbing. It's
Yeah.
disturbing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a lack of organizational depth or a mindset or what, but they just they're the worst team in football at sucking it up and playing through hard times.
I agree. The evidence is there. The
It's
evidence is
wild.
there.
Blows me away because I
It's
thought,
crazy to me to think that they won't be in the playoffs, but I think it's more likely than not that they will not get there.
well, it's crazy because literally 3 weeks ago, we did a true and false. And the question, the statement was somebody other than the 49ers will win the NFC West. And we both said false. And
We said
now we're not
false.
even sure they'll make the playoffs. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
On the other side, Green Bay. You know they're a real solid team. They're going to be fun in the playoffs. They're going to be it's going to be fun to see them go against the real big boys like you guys or Detroit. That's just going to be fun. They're going to be a hard out, I think.
I agree, man. And that freaking NFC North has three damn good teams, man. It's crazy.
Yep, absolutely. I think all three are going to make it.
100%. I would bet a lot on that. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Okay. Any stats in this game worth
Oh yeah.
noting?
Yeah. There's some good ones. So Jordan Love just had he didn't have to do much because Josh Jacobs ran 26 times for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, there you go, boy.
Boo! Jordan Love just 13 for 23, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Super solid. Did what he needed to do in this game. He looked really good. I hadn't seen him been able to watch him play a full game since he came back from that groin injury, and he looked fully healthy and really good. Allen for the Niners backup just looked terrible. 17 for 29, 199 yards, a touchdown and a pick. McCaffrey, I understand that they got behind in this game, but how do you only give Christian McCaffrey the ball 11 times?
I know.
That's insane. This is the kind of stuff that gets me going about Shanahan. But George Kittle, always awesome. 6 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Nobody else did anything of note for them. And that's pretty much it. It was a full on butt whooping. And let's just also real quick, I want to highlight the Packers had two of the best signings of the offseason, getting Josh Jacobs, probably the second. Oh, geez. I mean, there were three really good free agent running back signings this year between Henry Barkley and Josh Jacobs. Really
Yeah.
good ones. And,
Hey, even what's his name in Minnesota? Amon Green. No, not
oh,
Amon
God,
Green.
I wasn't thinking about that. You're right. I mean, yeah, Mom Green. Oh, my God, that's awesome. That's
Oh,
awesome.
in Minnesota, who is it?
What is it? Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, Amon Green.
That's all. You pulled one of my moves, man. You flashed back to 2002. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, so just a hell of a signing, and then the other one is Xavier McKinney. The one, and isn't it interesting how Xavier McKinney gets out of New York and all of a sudden stays healthy for the first time in his career?
Yeah,
I'm starting to
right.
think it's some kind of medical staff flaw or organizational health program or something because the Giants have more injuries year after year. Xavier McKinney leaves and is the best safety in football.
He leads the league in interceptions,
Yeah, exactly.
and they have one.
Yes, yes, right, right. I mean, unbelievable, man. The Giants made like you could even though Barkley's doing what he's doing this year, you can understand it because of the way the league looks at running backs. This one, that's a tough one to write off.
Yep, yep. Well, speaking of that, well, actually, before that, we have one more before we get to the late games.
Okay.
Seattle over Arizona, 16-6. I actually picked Arizona. You did pick Seattle, so you get it right. I got it wrong. Um, but I'll tell you what an uninteresting game this turned out to be. Like 16-6.
Yeah,
So
surprised me.
like just blah.
Really surprised me. I thought this was going to be a little more fun of a game.
It really wasn't. Not much to talk about with this one for me. Seattle, I guess you could say they're starting to rebound from. We thought they were a solid team, and then they showed signs that they weren't a solid team. Now it looks like they're kind of coming back around to that again. Kind of like Minnesota and a few Miami, a few others who were good, then bad, and now it looks like they're turning it around again.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they, believe it or not, are leading the NFC West now.
Yeah. Yep.
They are tied at 6-5 with the Cardinals, but obviously just beat the Cardinals. And the Rams and the Niners are both 5-6.
Yeah.
I mean, what a weird way to get to where we are. And to hammer home just how crazy this division is and how even it is, check this out. Now, the Rams have a point differential that doesn't fit this really much. Points for 233, points against 276. But check out the other three teams. Seahawks, points for 246, points against 244.
Oh,
Cardinals, points for 244, points against 236. Niners, points for 260, points against 260.
jeez.
You can't get any closer than that. Like, that's wild. This division is so weird. Can't figure it out from week to week. Maybe I hope. Maybe now we can rely on the Seahawks, but I don't know, man. I have a hard time relying on any of these teams. I can't get a handle on any of them.
No, because week to week, the one will look great and another one will look terrible, and then vice versa the next week, and the week after that it'll flip back again. I don't know.
Yeah, right there with you. Right there with you. Well, let me throw you some stats on this stinker. We had Kyler Murray. Well, speaking of things that are tough to figure out, Kyler Murray's right at the top of the list. 24 for 37, 285 yards, but no touchdowns and an interception. James Conner, who's been awesome this year, 7 rushes for 8 yards.
Yeah, he had a tough day.
Whew! The only real stat of note in a positive way for the Cards is Trey McBride, 12 catches for 133 yards.
He's a player. That guy's good.
Son of a gun, that dude is good, man. That guy is something else.
Him and Bowers are going to be the tight ends of the future,
Yeah,
leading the leagues moving
I,
forward.
absolutely, man. I'm right there with you on that, 100%. Seahawks, Geno, 22 for 31, 254 yards, 1 touch, 1 pick.
That's
Kenneth,
a Geno game, man. That is a Geno game.
you said it. You said it. I mean, that is perfect. It really is. It really is. Kenneth Walker, 16 for 41, 16 carries for 41 yards, 4 catches for 52. Uh, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I mea culpa about a few weeks ago, and glad I did because he keeps proving me wronger and wronger. Six, 6 catches for 77 yards and a touch. Metcalf 4 for 59, and their defense had 5 sacks and a pick, and so did the Cardinals. Talking about even.
Yep, yep. Just a stinker of a game.
Yeah, no, I have nothing else to say about that one.
All right. Okay, well, Eagles 37, Rams 20. We both got it right. Eagles continue to fly. On the road, this is a good, solid win. And Saquon Barkley, there's not much else to say about him. He is, you can't just say he's awesome. He's beyond that. He is surprising me big time. And yeah, the train just keeps going with them too. They have won what, 5 in a row, 6 in a row?
I'm pulling it up now. I believe it's 7 because they were 2-2, and I believe they're now 9-2. Sorry, I pulled up the last week's game. Here comes the actual information I was looking for. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, their last loss was to the Buccaneers on September 29th.
Yeah, they're playing really well, defensively, offensively. Everything is clicking. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't have to do anything. He has modest stats, like we talked about earlier,
Yeah,
because of what Saquon did. Basically, 300 yards of total offense from Saquon Barkley.
unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. This like it just keeps getting better and better. Like I'll just throw a couple things out before I gush about Barkley. Hurts 15 for 22, 179, a touch, no picks. His excellent no turnover, very few turnover play. I think he has 2 turnovers in that 7-game win streak.
Yep.
Um, uh, AJ Brown 6 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. How nice is it to have that kind of compliment to what's going on with this run game?
Yep.
The defense has gotten unbelievable. The sad note of the game, I'll throw it out now so I can leave on happy notes. Brandon Graham, the old 36-year-old veteran, who had the strip sack against Tom
He
Brady in
had the
the Super
game. He
Bowl.
had the best game of the year for him, and one of the best games of the week by any defensive player. He was
Absolutely.
dominant in this game, and I know the news you're going to say, so go ahead and say it.
Yeah, what a bummer. He tears his bicep or tricep, I forget which one, and he's out for the year. Such a bummer. He's already talking about coming back next year, though. So bring it on, Brandon Graham. We love you. Now, let's hit Barkley. This is unbelievable. This I'm sure you heard this too, probably, but Barkley's MVP odds at the beginning of that game were plus 4,000. They are now plus 500, and he's third only to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Yep. And unfortunately, he's probably still not going to get it, regardless, because they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, you never know though. There was a lot of people talking about it today, so there's some sentiment growing.
Yeah,
And
I
I
would like
don't
to
think
see
you
it.
and me are the only ones that are a little annoyed that they don't look at anybody but quarterbacks anymore. Now,
Yeah,
he's going to have to stay healthy and have nothing but 100-yard games for the rest of the season. So, we'll see.
we'll see.
Um, but here's the exact stats. 26 rushes, 255 yards, 9.8 yards a carry, two
Crazy.
touchdowns, four catches, 47 yards for 302 total yards. Unbelievable.
That's Hulk Hogan's weight, by the way. 302 pounds from Venice Beach, California. Anyway,
Oh, that's awesome. Good one. That's awesome.
unbelievable. I keep thinking that the bubble's going to burst. I keep thinking he's going to tire out. I keep thinking they're overusing him. I keep thinking he's going to fade down the stretch. And every week he seems to be getting better, stronger, and just keeps proving me wrong. I'm done thinking like that. I'm just thinking he's the best running back in football, and it's not really close, even with Derrick Henry. And in some ways, you gotta enjoy it, even if he is for a rival, because I can't enjoy it because it's a year that's thrown away for me. So it doesn't really matter what the Eagles do or the Giants or anybody else does in the division because we're
Right,
not doing
right.
anything.
Dude, yeah, no, that's cool. I totally appreciate everything you just said. It is something to see, man. I mean, I had big expectations for him because I did not think he was done in any way. I thought he was wasting away with a crappy organization behind a crappy offensive line, and I was right about that. But even I didn't see this coming. I mean, this is
Right.
monumental stuff. Monumental stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean that offensive line thing is real. That definitely matters. They're probably got the second best offensive line of football.
yeah, what behind Detroit?
I think Detroit has the best offensive line, kind of by far. I don't think it's close. Their offensive line is so damn good, and they don't have any injuries. Knock on wood for them, but regardless, it doesn't matter. Philadelphia, number 2 out of 32, pretty damn good,
Yeah,
and
right,
and
right.
and he's showing it because the Giants are like 32 out of 32 for
They
their
are,
offensive line.
and the best thing about that is they have been for a decade.
Yeah, so and he still produced, to some degree, pretty decently for them. But then you see what he can do with a real offensive line, a really good offensive line, good to great offensive line, and he is I mean, he was running free so much. I mean, he was going 7, 8 yards before there was even anybody there to tackle him.
Yeah,
They really dominated on the line. They really did.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, their guards average 350 pounds,
Yeah.
and they can move. They're not just big dudes, and it's unbelievable, that line. And it's what's really cool to see. And I am so used to not seeing it in Philly from various coaches over the years. Is Kellen Moore has recognized throughout the course of this season what this team is good at, and he's leaned into it.
Yep.
It
Yep.
sounds like obvious and that it should happen, but it doesn't happen with so many teams. You can just sit there as an outsider with a lot of teams in the NFL and be like, why don't they just do this a little more? It works. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Why don't they do that? Like when the Eagles were running those damn wide receiver screens last year, they threw like 40 wide receiver screens and averaged like about 0.2 yards on them. And they
Yeah.
just
Just
wouldn't
terrible.
stop doing it. It was clear that it didn't work and they wouldn't stop doing it. This year, Kellen Moore very smartly assesses the situation, sees he has a great running back, a great offensive line, a quarterback who he was given a little too much early in the season, reined it all in, and now the freaking game plan makes sense. I can't tell you how satisfying that is after last season.
Yeah, I definitely see it's tangible.
Yeah, it
It's
really
tangible.
is. It really is. And I would be remiss, real quick, if I don't throw you the Rams stats because I'm gushing about the Eagles here. Stafford, 24 for 36, 243 yards, two touchdowns, zero picks. Kyron Williams, 16 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown, but a big fumble. Um, Puka, 9 catches for 117 yards. Cup, 8 catches for 61 and a touchdown.
Yeah,
Um,
everybody got to eat a little bit.
that looks like a team that won, but they got
Yeah,
destroyed. It's fascinating. I guess there's a lot of garbage time stuff, I guess, but
right.
but that's a good like a decent team. The Eagles just handed their ass. So
Yeah,
I like to see
on the road too.
on the road all of it. Like I can't find anything bad. And in 2 weeks in a row, by the way, Nick Sirianni didn't do anything stupid. We're on a roll, Craig. We're on a roll.
Yeah, the playoffs. The Eagles are going to be such an interesting team in the playoffs to see what happens here.
I can't wait. I mean, the seeding is going to matter big time, and
Yep.
I can't wait to see how it all shakes out. Who ends up with
And
who?
I just would love an Eagles Lions championship game.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And I can't. I would love to see that game. And it would be so much fun to watch because Barkley by himself equals their backfield together. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they have good defenses with different strengths. Oh, it's fascinating, fascinating matchup. I hope it
Yeah.
ends up there.
And good defenses against really good offensive lines.
Yes, great point. Great point. And by the way, to back up your point, uh, Pro Football Network has the Lions rated number one defensive line, or I'm sorry, offensive line.
Yep.
Eagles number two.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think I went a little overboard when I said it wasn't close. It's definitely close, but I've looked around as well, and pretty much the consensus is Detroit, though.
Yeah. No. I have to agree with that. Yeah, my hackles went up a little bit about the way you said it, but yeah, no, I'm with you on them being a little better. Um,
Yeah, and
here's
it
a
is just a
little
look.
here's a little thing I want to throw out there real quick, if you don't mind. You're familiar with the PFF rankings that they throw up? I believe it's on either the Sunday or Monday night games.
I'm familiar with them. Yeah,
Okay. Have you ever really thought about them much, and do you have any opinion on them?
not really.
Okay. I have noticed over the years some weird, glaring things that just don't make sense in their ratings. And never more than on when the Eagles were playing on prime time. I guess it is the Eagles were Sunday night, so it must be the Sunday night games. Um,
Yeah,
and guess what Saquon Barkley's PFF rating was among all running backs in football this year?
no idea.
8.
Really?
Now, where the hell are they getting that, Craig?
You mean up to now?
Up to now.
What?
Up to now. Now, what possible statistical measure? This is why I question statistics so much. I mean, not ones that are clear math, but ones with vague formulas like quarterback rating, WAR in baseball, PFF player ratings. Um, under what I would like to know what 7 running backs that PFF thinks are better than Saquon Barkley this year.
The answer is zero.
Exactly. So I just wanted to throw it out there because any of our listeners that haven't really thought about this or haven't noticed it or put any stock into those PFF rankings, they are horseshit.
That's
That's my thought for the week.
yeah, I agree. We,
Nice.
we got one more game to get to that we both got wrong.
Woo, buddy.
Baltimore over the Chargers 30-23. We both kind of went the other way and went with the Chargers because we liked what they've been doing. We weren't sure what Baltimore was doing lately, and they answered the bell here and beat a very good team on the road, just like the Eagles. Actually, would you put the Chargers a little above the Rams?
I would. Yeah, I would. Absolutely.
So an even more impressive win, and
Absolutely.
and they look good, man. They look good, and they're another weird team though. They can look so good, but then other weeks they inexplicably lose to Cleveland. Like what the hell?
It doesn't make sense, man. It's like I just can't get over the fact that they lost to the Raiders this year.
Yeah.
That's how up and down they are. But
Think
then
about
they
it.
look,
The Browns beat the Steelers and the Ravens this year.
yeah, what the hell's that all about? It's that divisional shit, right?
Yeah, they stink. Um, so yeah, the Ravens they're weird when they look, like I said, when they look good and when they're playing well, they look great. But they don't do it every week to week. You don't know what you're going to get, which is what we say about a lot of teams. But they're just on the upper end of it. When they look good, they look like Super Bowl winner good.
Yeah, I agree. I
But
agree.
when they but they can also lay an egg at any time against anybody.
I totally agree. I mean, that's spot on, man. That's exactly how I feel about them. And their defense is not that good. So it's not like we're used to the Ravens being like a top 10 defense almost every year for
Yeah,
like
they're not.
they're not this year. They're they are they seem to be getting a little better, tiny bit maybe, but they were so bad that that's only going to get them into the maybe the halfway point of the league out of the bottom third, maybe by the end of the season if they keep improving a little bit here and there. But right now they're just not good. But the offense is incredible, and Lamar Jackson is unbelievable. His passing this year has just been incredible. It's nice to see him with like even it's still not one of the best receiving cores in football by any means, but it's finally pretty good. You know,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Derrick Henry is still doing Derrick Henry things. If it wasn't for Barkley, he'd be the story of the year at running back. Um, Justice Hill had that big run that I love their little combo of Hill and Henry. You know, it's mostly Henry as it should be, but Hill has his role and it's a good one.
Yep. I like that kid a lot.
I do too, man. I liked him a lot coming out, and I was surprised he wasn't better early. But it just here he is now, and he's doing great. Um, yeah, this was a heck of a game. I'll throw some stats at you here. We got Lamar Jackson, 16 for 22, 177, two touchdowns, no picks, eight rushes for only 15 yards, but he got a touchdown. Henry, 24 rushes for 140 yards. Justice Hill had that big touchdown run, four rushes for 55 yards and a touchdown. The ghost of Mark Andrews is back consistently for a few weeks now. Five catches for 44 yards and a touch. I love that, man. Zay Flowers is electric.
Yeah.
Five catches for 62 yards, but it feels like every time he gets his hands on the ball, he could break loose for a touchdown.
Yep. I agree.
Justin Herbert, he wasn't terrible. He had there were several key drops in this game by the Chargers receivers. Did you catch that?
Yes,
What's
I
his
did.
face? Johnston,
Quentin
just
Johnston.
oh my God! Talk about the hands of concrete. Holy
Yeah,
moly!
he blew at least one. At least I know he blew one really big one at the end that they could have tried to sustain the drive and get a lot closer in the fourth quarter, and he dropped them. I don't know if it was a
Yes,
fourth down. It was either a third or a fourth down where he had
yes.
it and he had the first too.
I know exactly the play you're talking about. That's the one I was picturing in my head. It was a tough one. It was a tough one. And so Herbert ended up 21 for 36, 218 yards, no touches, no picks, four rushes for 29 yards and a touchdown. He's still playing great. Um, the big news in this game for them moving forward is J.K. Dobbins got hurt, and it makes me so sad. I just hope
Yeah.
it's not that bad, but I heard whispers he's going to miss some time. I think I heard something about it being an MCL sprain, but I don't know if
Uh,
there's anything definitive yet. Um, but I'll try and find it in a minute. And was there anything else of note? McConkey, I mean, six catches, 83 yards. This guy is a real NFL player. It's cool to see him emerge. Will Disley, my favorite fourth round tight end from 7 years ago, has finally emerged and four catches for 47 yards.
yeah,
Um,
my opinion doesn't go down much on the Chargers. They ran across a team that needed to play well, and they're just better than them when they play well. They did play well, and they are better than them. But the Chargers are right where I still, in my mind, still right where they were.
I agree 100%. They don't lose anything in my mind because of this game at all.
Um, on the penalty front, the high of the week was Kansas City, Carolina.
Oh, interesting.
They had 19 penalties.
Ooh.
Tennessee, Houston had 17.
Oof.
Baltimore Chargers had 16.
Yeah. I felt every one of them watching it.
And Detroit, Indianapolis had 15. The rest were 14 or lower.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it, man. We finished the week. Our
Boom.
week 12 review. Make sure you guys join us for the week 13 preview, which will be coming right out right after this one. Al, anything more to add until we get to the next week?
No, man, I am good. That was a fun week to talk about. Now we'll make some.
Absolutely complete craziness this week. And I'm expecting it again. We got the Thursday games coming up. We got the Black Friday game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys join us for the week for 13 preview. For Al, I'm Craig. This is Perks Recap. Until next time, I will see you later.